the school has in place the support mechanisms, the support persons. Good Lord, use the money.
Yes, yes,
Take $5 million
yes.
to put tanks up the road and reserving that money as part of your racial extravaganza, your racial, and what's it called, electioneering. I'm getting lots of words now. Use the money, use the borrowed money, use the taxpayers' money. We are not getting it back from the pump. We are paying. I don't have sewage, I'm not attached to sewage, but every month the properties that we have that are not attached to sewage, we are paying for two
Millions of
properties.
dollars, millions of dollars.
You are getting money from us. Put the money to help our children. You are lost. You all are getting your pensions.
You know,
Do
Glyne,
something about what's happening. And Pastor Ferdy, may I share another one that I was
just
rehearsing?
before you share another one, let's
Yes,
hear what
please.
Glyne, as you go through each one, let's hear what Glyne thinks about. Glyne, what do you think about this idea?
May Rose's idea,
Yeah.
I think has valid has merit, but I would think that it would have to have, like she said, you'd have to have the support service and personnel there to make it function and serve its purpose. And there's
Hmm.
not a deserted place. It would have to be a whole concept operationalized from beginning to end, thought out, experiment to see what would best work for the person. But it is worth considering.
Yes. And
Uh,
I mean, yeah, go ahead,
yeah,
Glyne.
no, so, but this government is depending, and one of my, this is the first government in the history of Barbados I've ever seen ask the public to solve the problems for it. First, I mean, openly come and talk to us, tell us what to do. No, I mean, we elect people, not that they're perfect, not that they know everything, but that is their responsibility. They have the money, the resources, the contacts to put things into action, but set back and leave it to the rest of society is something that I don't subscribe to. Not where you contribute, make an input, but don't tell me the onus is on the public. The public will assist. And I think that is what is missing in this government, is that there's not enough original, fresh thinking coming out. Again, because the same thing I mentioned
Still,
earlier about
yeah,
the lack
yeah.
the lack of consultation, reading, information,
Reading. We don't
engagement.
know what's going on.
So
No,
um I don't want to change gears, but I just remember I made a note here that I saw an incident in the paper recently, probably Wednesday's paper, where remember the operation that went into Odessa McLean's Gap, where the police reported in defense of themselves, uh, exchanged fire with someone who died.
yes, in my
Right,
Lord's
right,
Hill, up in my
right,
Lord's Hill.
right. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I was
Now I
passing there
noticed
the
it,
very sad morning.
and I remember I spoke on the
Yeah.
show about I could not. I have never been fair. I've never been tolerant of the community, the hostility, the anger, the intervention, the abuse, the physical, almost physical touching. I say that that should not be allowed. Well, I'm pleased to say that the police, and I want to commend the police. I say it makes people lose. If people don't fear the police, they will go to action toward the persons for that they went before the court and pleaded guilty. In other words, the police would have had to take action against them. How I've seen it go on Chapman, many other places, and nothing happened. But I'm hoping this is part of the pushback on the police to show that you have to respect the law, you have to respect us, live within the laws.
Hmm.
Because otherwise they will run roughshod over you, right? So I'm hoping that that's the beginning. Because the truth is, you have to disrupt crime. If you allow crime to settle, it becomes more encrusted, consolidated. That's why you had the Red Sea government. Remember the Red Sea government apologized to the Myanmar government? They've settled their institution, they call themselves a government. So you have to disrupt that culture and Also, remember you mentioned about the person being killed in shot dead in the plane. Interestingly enough, there's a quote in the paper from his mother where and it shows you the kind of culture that we already live with. It's not straightforward. She is saying he used to snatch the body purse up, the body purse. He was a good boy, right? He,
Hmm.
he he said he was Robin Hood. He robbed an arcade to give to the poor. See the rationalization.
Hmm. Sure.
She said he did snatch about the person. He was Robin Hood. He was a Robin Hood. He sort of robbed the arcade. He robbed an arcade to give to the poor. So if you rationalize it and justify it, it shows that we have a lot of work to do in the counterculture, the other the alternatives being offered to people, and you can therefore see why it's something so hard to get these things broken into because people have their vested interest in it. All right.
But
So it really so I pick out those two things because they're related, but they're reflecting a positive outlook on action on behalf of the police, and also a negative attitude and set of values that if every neighborhood, every block group in Barbados sees their activities as good, robbing from the rich to give to the poor, it is worse than we thought.
yeah, you know, while and before we move on to your next point, we still have a good bit of time, Rose, so we're not going to rob you of your time.
That's all
But
right.
you know, Glyne, Rose,
Yes,
uh,
please.
we had such a discipline in school. You remember we could not leave school. Go. Oh, I could not leave Harrison College Gap without my epaulets on. You know, and I was only expected to be on the street with my school uniform on for a specified period of time. And then you had to be off the street. Otherwise, anybody encountering you, especially if it was a teacher, would want to know what are you doing on the street at this time in school uniform. And even if we took off our epaulets, a lot of our teachers knew who we were, so you couldn't hide. And you know, we had to be careful. There's certain things that you got suspended from school for. You know, we could never carry sharp implements to school, but sometimes you would get a fight every now and again. And you remember the dividers and the compasses, Glyne, that they would have in the
Right.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
right.
geometry set,
Yeah.
and you would take it out and or even a pencil and stab somebody with a pencil. You were removed from school for a period of time. You know, so there was always the level of discipline that carried forward from home into the school. You couldn't just behave how you like. I remember, I'm sorry to tell you this joke, but I remember one day I got in a fight with a guy at school and I bit him on his chest. He had me in a hole and I bit him on his chest to try and get out of it, huh? And we both ended up going to Mr. Marshall's office. I don't know if you all remember Heads Marshall. He used to be the deputy principal at Harrison College, and he would interrogate us. And when I got into his office, he asked me, "Young Nichols, why did you bite the young man on his chest?" I said, "Sir, I did not bite him on his chest. I closed my teeth, and his chest got between my teeth." He said to me, Glenn. He said, "Well, let me say this to you. I am going to lower my hand, and your behind is going to get in the way of my killing."
Yeah.
And I got a good hiding from him for biting the boy in the chest. This the I think one of the last fights I ever had, and definitely the last time I ever bit anybody.
Um,
You know,
but
you,
but
you
but you see, um, Rose talked earlier about the failure and the degradation and the uh, almost dissolution of some of social institutions, and it pains me very very much that one of the institutions, an area of national of which we were so proud, which we did so well, which helped to channel and funnel and fuel the development of virus, education is
Mhm.
in total sham. We used to
Yes.
export education, educators. We were renowned for it, and now it is in total shambles. I mean, only in Barbados would a prime minister allow a minister of education to go to church? Confusion, step after time after time
and
after,
not
and
remove
not
I
them.
bring
know,
about it. I mean,
and
unbelievable.
shift them.
Let
And
me tell you something.
I am saying that I don't even hear the minister, the other minister that they shifted, Honorable Sandra Husband. I really thought that when she was shifted into the ministry, that given her background in education and training and development, that we will see a grip of
A
sort.
shift.
She is not even invited to any of the press conferences or statement to the nation or whatever. There's
That
nothing.
that was a political move, not to
Yeah, but
enhance
you
education. That was a political act of convenience, a political convenience, not to enhance education.
were going to make a point as well too, Glyne. I
Um,
don't know if you
I
remember what
I'm
it
remember.
sorry.
was.
I'm
I
sorry
No,
about
no,
the
no, that's
no
fine.
no no
interruption.
No, no,
problem. No, I
no,
got it.
no, no, no.
It came back to me.
Uh-huh.
When we have how long, how many hundred years have we been opening schools? That used to be a virtual routine. I myself, from time to time, have had to act as Minister of Education when I was in government. I remember this one particular. The last time I acted as Minister of Education was in 2001 when David Summers had resigned as Attorney General and people for St. Thomas, and they had Mia Motley became Attorney General, right? And Ornath asked me to act, got me to act as Minister of Education. At the time when there was a by election in St. Thomas, and obviously on the eve of the opening of the school, so my political and other instincts tell me you cannot afford to have a called by election is a referendum. All kind of
Hmm.
things. But by election might be sent top, but all other issues will come in. You can't afford to have anything go wrong with the opening school to affect. Plus, I think Cynthia Ford there was the parliamentary secretary of education, something like that. So I did. I set up an early meeting with the during the by election. I set up an early meeting with the PS, and we work out a plan of action where it was constant monitoring. Each morning by 8:30, I must have a report what happened yesterday. I hit 8:30 because if there any problem, you have time to correct it during the day. And it went, I never had a problem. You must have systems. You must know how to operationalize. You must see things. But I don't understand how something else. The tell me part of the problem with the schools is that shortage of money. Or even though you got $10 million put down for maintenance in schools, is doesn't go into a bank account one time for the first of April, new financial year. The fulfilling of those commitments on paper is left to the availability of funds in the general economy and the choices the Minister of Finance has to between you and this and that. So very often the money is not there to do things when they want. Then they tell me the process of repairs and maintenance is heavily politicized. Contractors who don't know what they're doing, contractors who politically appointed don't have resources to mobilize and start a work to do it early to get finished by time. They have to wait for the money to come from the government, and that delays the whole process. That's why it's compounded over and over again because of the system, the heavy politicization of the system. But there used to be a department in the Ministry of Education run by a man called Mr. Harrison. I remember his name well. They used to take care of that, and it was relatively straightforward. It was not just consistent day by day. I mean, what Grandy Adams schools were out action over almost 3 weeks. So something is wrong with the management of the system. If the system served us so well before, obviously because of a certain management, and I'm glad you mentioned your father-in-law, Mr. Sam Corbin, who was well respected, a tower of strength, highly respected professional civil servant. I dealt with him a number of times, and he represented the old breed of civil servant that people say are too colonial, they don't want them anymore. And we did well because of that. So we are suffering from that, the absence of those approaches and skills and technique and attitude and values and whatnot. So that is why we're repeating the same problem in areas. Not that things were perfect, but we do not have this litany of woes, and I mean it's
Hmm.
embarrassing.
Hmm.
You can't
Yes, it
open it.
is terrible, terrible,
You
terrible.
know, the ministry says this all is open, and then weeks thereafter, this will be what 4, 5, 6 still problems. It really. So what I'm saying that, and what part of the problem too is that we used to have growing up in Spooners, there was a certain respect for education, for getting it, for
Yeah,
appreciating it,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
I remember following my sisters to school. I was about 3. I walked behind. I saw my sister going across the ground. 'Cause we worked it back down to Grace Hill. They went to school. And one morning, I walked in, and the teachers asked me, "Young man, what are you doing here?" I said, "I came to do what my sisters are doing." And they put me down on the floor. I remember the blocks. There were those rock blocks with letters and colors, A, B, C.
Yeah, yeah,
And
uh-huh.
that is where my beginning. That's where it started. And I went to school after that. So I'm saying, because that was the family knew that was the only way of getting out of poverty, and people took pride. Um, Teachers who some parents who never went to high school or even went to 7th standard took pride in making sure their children got a good education at the house because they come here, get 5 or level, 3 A level. That was the thing. But right now, all that appreciation for education as a process and an inherent value for the rest of your life is gone.
Oh,
People
wow,
now want to
wow,
make money through others. So
wow.
until you resuscitate and recultivate that appreciation for in practice where parents want where parents are prepared to teach you how to read. No child should go to school at 5 and should know the letter A, B, C, can know the alphabet. Shouldn't, right? So until you do that thing, if you do it and leave for the school, for the nursery school to teach them how to yes please good morning, and then when they go to school they have to teach how to read. The whole school, the whole system, you're falling behind time every day.
Yeah, yeah.
Until we go back to the beginning, to first principles. First
Hmm.
principles no, are never wrong.
Yeah.
Go back to first principles and go to the step by step rudimentary. Let me make my last point on this score. I've argued for a long time that in the same way when a woman is pregnant, she gets prenatal
Here.
advice and care and instruction
Hmm.
from the nurse, documents and medication, get advice how to what to eat, how to behave, what to do with the child, and then you get postnatal after the child is born. From the time a woman is pregnant, she should be exposed to information that's about how the child develops and what she can do to assist. Because children learn from the time they're in the womb. Talk, talk to it, read to it, sing to it. I explained it to my family when I did psychology in Canada, and it works. Life is about stimulus and response. As you stimulate them early, they will get a particular response. If you don't do that, and other voids, I think fill the void, you have an uphill battle from there on. So they should know that not only physiologically or
Hmm.
food and drink and nutrition, take your medication, get your shots or whatnot to prevent it. They should be nurturing the child emotionally, psychologically, intellectually while they and have an appreciation. And therefore, when the child is born, they start to talk, they sing, they read. Guys, what simulate children? And
Yes,
nothing magical about it.
yes,
Just like people
yes.
train horses and dogs to do certain things because you get stimulus and response. You get stimulus and response, reward and punishment. If
Hmm.
those 4 rules are applied, that will make a lot of difference to life in Barbados.
Well, Rose, you
Yes,
know,
please.
you got to the designated area, which we call Noah's Ark. I saw comments that some people like that idea. What's the next one?
My next point is might be a bit radical, but if
But
it seems as though, sorry, um, I wanted to send Dave this. Give me a minute, please. Um, all right, let me turn it off. We might not have time. Go ahead, send him a video. I'm sorry about that. If these children are going to school intent on bullying, they know the terrain already. Conti said they have the intelligence, you know, they talk about
Hmm.
uh, the country got the intelligence. These children already know the layout of the school. They know that the hands of the teachers are weakened, either by instruction from the ministry, or they know that teachers are fearful. Pardon me. We saw the case yesterday with that teacher struggling on her own. It may be radical. Why not install what panic buttons in the classroom so that when a situation like that arises, the teacher presses the button which is connected to security or which calls for help or alerts others that something is happening in uh, Form 42. A teacher should not, given the atmosphere, the climate, and the culture within our schools now, teachers need to have that backup system. A panic button, something that the teacher can press and say, look, come quickly to our assistance.
Hmm. Well, let me ask you a question, and I'm writing it here, and maybe you can both answer this. Because you talk about a panic button, but something else just went through my mind. I don't know if you had this as one of your ideas in terms of a solution, but do we have camera surveillance in our schools?
I was coming to that, Pastor Purdy. And as I was coming to that, I remember George Orwell, 1984, when
Yes.
I was in England in 1984 as a student, and I panicked all through as we were coming to the close of 1983, and I kept saying, "Big Brother's coming, Big Brother." And I used to walk the streets and look around to see if the cameras were being installed. But I am seeing that they should be with the technology now. I
Yes,
mean,
yes.
they should be. This is our reality.
That's correct.
And I heard Glyne talking about, I called it deterrent, but I heard Glyne using words like disrupting the system, that you need to get in there and disrupt and turn it around. It cannot be business as usual. And if we are having children going to school bent on not learning, bent on intimidating, bent on, you remember the last time I talked about, do we have mafias in our school? Bent on what? Extraditing, that's the word. There's another word, taking away the children's lunch monies and the cell phones and the haversacks and all the above. We need to install closed circuit television in the schools and let the children, I'm very sorry, but let the children know that you are under the watch and
Well,
it can be retrieved. I did not want our schools to reach this point. But when I saw how that boy, all that was left for was for that young man to kick that girl. And I was worried, I was muttering all in the car this evening. Studies have shown that if you become a bully in your early years, you will continue to demonstrate those tactics, you would become a woman beater. You would become one who perpetrates those kind of acts against others. And we, in the meantime, until we can bring it to zero, and we've gone past zero. We've gone long past zero. We've gone now into other figures, three figures, and whatever. We need to put drastic systems in place to deter.
I'm thinking, Rose, that when you look at, okay, I know we had an issue with the customs, and I think it was during Arthur's administration, Glyne, we had an issue with installation of cameras in customs. You remember that one?
Yes, please.
There was
It still has not happened.
Still has not happened, right?
Still has not happened.
The unions, I think, threatened to shut the country down if that was done. But I don't know what there was hiding. But that's another subject for another time. We have cameras installed in banks. We have cameras installed in supermarkets. We have cameras on the highway that look at your number plate to tell if the car is registered or licensed correctly or not. We got face recognition cameras on the highways. We have cameras even when you are going into sporting facilities. All these kind of things we have. We need to be able to use technology to let me get the right word, to not discredit. What's the word I'm looking for, Glenn? You know what I'm trying to say. Discourage. Thank you.
Dissuade, right?
Yeah, to cause people to think twice before you do something, because what was the word? Something is watching you. What was the word you were trying to use just now, Rose? Not Big Daddy. That
Big
is
brother, big
Big Brother
brother.
is watching you. Where you have cameras in strategic
But
locations
but
outside of the
Ferdy,
schools.
that was part of the objection to the cameras at customs.
Yeah,
And
I
who
know.
knows, the teachers unions might not want to subscribe to that because they themselves be under scrutiny.
Right,
They
because
them to be
here,
under camera,
yeah, but
right?
here's what somebody is telling us, and let me put it there in the chat very quickly. Said Rev, we started installation at LEVS, Lestavon School, but we were turfed out in 2018.
Okay,
It's like
okay.
people, I've
Which,
always
which,
said, if you in doing something wicked
but
and wrong, it should not be a problem.
but Ferdy, I'm glad you said that. Quite, it gives me a segue into a point I know you had to make here.
Hmm.
The part of the problem with the education, Barbados, is that government has become very, very indulgent. I am yet to hear any logical, radical reason, any any rationale, any explanation as to why hairstyles, hairstyles were liberalized, so to speak. That any hairstyle, I still remember uniform means uniform, the same exact. So how could you have a uniform, uh, a different hairstyles, a dress, a type? So I don't understand why the government part of that was so important. Children leaving school before be able to read and write, and the first thing to do is tell they can read here, so they and express themselves in reading and writing, and things that matter. So when you indulge, or that's pandering to the lowest common denominator
Yeah.
because you want your child to go through with a particular hairstyle or with a particular school bag style. All that the frivolities that we've indulged in to the detriment to the basic principles of what we need to get out of our education. Nobody, I don't know if Rose heard any reason as to why they justified uh, change that where people had different style hairstyle depending men boys hair plait and girls hair comb. And it destroys what uniform means. It destroys a set of and uniform means discipline.
Yeah.
Conformity, uniformity. It is discipline. All those things you can wear what you like. All those have to inform the thought in discipline or not being disciplined or not following rules in a young child impressionable mind. And we pay the price for it now.
The thing is too is that I know that people the discussion now is the decolonizing of education. And I invite discussion and measures that would seek to modernize, in a sense, the curriculum, making it appropriate. And people see this whole thing of uh, what you're talking about, Glyne, the grooming, the hairstyling, the strict requirements for hairstyling as part of the part of the what's the word, part of the
Education.
past, the
Uh-huh.
past.